folks, this is Magpie265 and welcome back to Ballyspring, where we are going through the years with Farm Simulator. This is episode 4 of the series, and as with the previous episode, for those of you that have seen it, you will know that there was no voiceover recorded during the recording of the gameplay. Those of you who haven't seen it, what the hell are you doing starting on episode 4? Have a word with yourselves, go back, watch the first 3 episodes and then meet me back here. And while they're off doing that, the rest of us can carry on from where we left off. Sort of. Because as you can see, this isn't exactly where we left off in the last episode. At the end of that episode, we had just delivered the remainder of our grass to the silage pit. It was the first 2 fields, this one and that one just ahead of us there. We had them fully cut, windrowed and collected, and then we dropped it off into the silage pit. And that was pretty much ending our day. But as you can see from the top right, not only are we at nearly 10 o'clock in the morning, but we are also a couple £1,000 worse off. And that is, for those of you paying attention last time, because we bought the zero-turn mower. I also did explain last time that there was a little bit of a screw up coming in this episode, in that I forgot to click record when I started filming, so we lost the first probably 20 minutes, half an hour or so of me of my gameplay, of me taking the mower and the windrower on our low loader, driving them down to the store, returning them, well, selling them, and buying the zero turn and then bringing that back to the farm. So that is now parked up in our shed and is ready to go on the next field once we are finished with these 2. And in order to get these 2 finished, we need to get them cultivated and then we need to get our crop in them. Now we are going to go with barley, I believe, if memory serves me right from last week when I filmed this. I'm pretty sure it was barley that we decided to put in it. And we only have 1 or 2 passes left on this field, and then we will head on in to that bottom field down there and we will get that cultivated and get them both prepped to take the arable crops. So before I pop this onto a time lapse, which I will do for that second field, just a little reminder for those of you that haven't seen the last episode, which there shouldn't be anyone, but if you haven't, the recording didn't go to plan. The microphone wasn't turned, well, it was turned on, technically that's not true, it was turned on, but for some reason the recording software had selected a different channel for the audio input, so the microphone was on and working, it just wasn't recording it as part of the gameplay recording. I don't know why it did that. It's the first time it's done that. I mean, I say first time, I've only recorded what, like 5 episodes. How many am I on? This is episode 4 of this, and there's 3 of the Green Hell series currently recorded, so 7 episodes. It's had it to 2 of them, so I don't know what has caused it. I don't know how to prevent it happening again. All I just need to do is just make sure that it's definitely recording audio before I actually start with the gameplay, which is not hard to do. Nice and easy thing for me to make sure of from now on. Now that I'm aware that it is a possible issue, I will make sure that it doesn't happen again. So this is the last episode where this will be an issue. It does mean that the rest of this episode is going to be fairly brief on the talkie and a little more of the time lapse. Because I just don't have that much to say sat here now. It was a little different when I was doing it, and you know, it's a little easier to talk over while you're doing and what's going through your head about what you're going to do next, but I can't remember any of that. It was a week ago, and you don't really want to sit and listen to me waffle. So I'm going to pop this on a time lapse now, and then I will pop back and maybe talk a little bit more as we get to the planting stage. But honestly, it's going to be a lot of time lapse this video, a lot of editing, but everything will be fixed from the next one, I guarantee that. So I will time lapse this now and I will see you in a minute. Okay, so that is that field cultivated, and we have this top one already done, so we'll just get this gate open and we will head on back to the yard with the cultivator. I am quite a fan of this cultivator, you know. It's not the biggest working with in the world, but the speed's pretty decent on it. It doesn't seem to take forever to get the fields done. I know these two are probably, well, not quite the two smallest fields we've got, and there are two more. So this one on the right is smaller, and the one down, or the two down from that, are smaller as well. So there are three smaller fields, but they're not quite, none of them are as big as these top fields are, or them two that we've already done. And it made fairly short work of the two that we've already got, I think, canola in. Now I do have a bit of trouble here getting, not so much trouble getting it in, it's not difficult, but I did just decide there is no need to have all of these cramped up to one side so much when there is plenty of room. So I've just dropped the cultivator off there, and I am just going to move our little fertilizer spreader right over to the edge, and then just move that sprayer and planter along a little before tucking that in. So we will just jump on ahead and get these done before we move on with planting our field. There we go, that is a little bit neater now. Everything's a little bit more spaced out, which should make it just that little bit easier for us to put things away and get them out again in the future. So we're just going to couple up to our little Eire planter here, and that should be, yeah, it is full already set to canola. So we're just going to have a little look at what we're going to plant. Now, spoiler alert, we plant barley, okay, but we're just having a little look here at what is available to us. So you can see that oat is available to plant next month as well. We are currently on, I believe, the 2nd of October. So we have the rest of today and tomorrow to plant either wheat, barley, canola we already have. Just have a quick scroll down and see there is nothing else really that we can plant. There are some of the newer crops, the clover, alfalfa, linseed, that we can plant, but I don't really know how they work just yet, and for now we just need to get crops in the ground, get things growing whilst we can. So we are going to stick to the basic crops that we already know what we're doing with, which means we've got either wheat or barley. Oat we're going to plant next month. We've already done canola, so it was wheat or barley. We've gone for barley. So we'll set the planter here to barley when we find it as we flick through. There we go, there's barley. And we will head on down to our fields and we will get them planted. So we are going to start down in the bottom of the two fields. No particular reason, we'll just do this one at the bottom and then get the other one on our way back out. This is another piece of equipment I'm particularly pleased with, this Eire planter. I think, do you know, all in all, we've done pretty well on setting the farm up. I know we had the issue with the mower and we've changed that for that little zero turn, which you will see before the end of this episode. But to be honest, it didn't need to be done. The only reason we've done it is because we are under a lot of time pressure and it just makes things a little bit quicker. We could quite happily have stayed with that mower. It worked fine, it did the job, it did it at a reasonable speed. It won't do it quite as quick as the zero turn's going to, and it's not even that the zero turn mower itself is that much faster. It is a little bit faster, but not significantly so. It's more that the windrower process is eliminated by using the zero turn if you use it correctly, and that means we save an entire step in the process. Now that windrowing step wasn't the biggest part of the process, and it wasn't the longest. It wasn't even that much of an issue really, but it's still an entire step that we get to cut out by using the zero turn. And given the time frame that we're looking at, we are on October 2nd now. We only have today and tomorrow to get our barley in the ground, which we are planting this field now as I close this gate and get it out of our way. Planting this one now, we've got the next one to our right to do straight after. We still have to lime them, fertilize them and roll them before we can even begin on our next field, which still needs to be cut and then would need windrowed and collected. If we hadn't, obviously we just get to skip the windrow part. We'll just cut and collect before we can then even begin to put a crop in those fields. So you see, we've got a lot of work to be done and very little time in which to do it.
So anything that we can do that cuts a step out of that process or speeds a step up is just a must at the minute. I think long term we will probably look at going back to a tractor-led mower, or well, not necessarily. I mean, we might have another sort of, what would you call it, powered mower, like a drive along, but a bigger one. But that would be a few years in the future as the series goes, because I don't think there's anything all that significant at the minute. Well, I know there isn't, because we've already looked whilst we were looking at the zero turn. But I think that's the route we probably go down. I don't think the zero turn will stay with us forever, but it will have to for the next couple of years now that we've made that call. So I'm going to, I think, skip ahead on this till the end of the next field. There is a lot of just going around these fields in this episode, and given that the audio isn't as good as it would normally be, or at least I hope it normally is, I don't want to drag the episodes out too long. I said that on the last one and still made it nearly an hour, so let's not do that today. This will be a nice, quick, to the point episode. We are getting stuff done today, and then we are moving on to the next episode where we can actually record it properly, hopefully, and get you a better quality video to watch. So I'll see you at the end of these two fields. And there we go. Through the magic of editing, the fields are both planted. Now, we haven't even used a full tank, I'm going to call it, of seed. We've only used about 80%, so that's good. We've still got plenty of seed left in our shed, which means we should have no problem getting the rest of our barley fields done this month and our oat fields done in November. So we will drop this back off in our shed and pick up, I believe we're going to go with our fertilizer spreader now, because we are going to need to fertilize and lime these two fields before rolling them and then moving on to our next fields. So this is, see, that is so much easier to put back now that I've spread them out. We're not catching on anything else. We're not having to go in at tight angles. We're just backing in, lower it down, and drop it off. And the same for picking up our equipment. So we will just move on over now and couple up to our fertilizer spreader. This should be a nice quick job, because if I remember from our first couple episodes when we did those large fields that have got canola in them, this spreader has fantastic coverage. I think it covers something like 30 meters, maybe even 40 meters of a working width. It's nice and quick on the working speed, so it should take these little fields no time at all. We probably won't even time lapse them, because I think the time lapse would only last a couple seconds. So we will grab our fertilizer out of the shed now and load up our spreader, and we will jump on down to the field. I say I don't think it'll take very long at all to cover these fields, especially this bottom one, because it's long, but it's quite long, but it's narrow. I think 2 passes, if we're lucky, we'll do it. Maybe not if I go that close over to the edge of the field. I should probably have started further to the middle. I just think I really didn't want to miss out anything and have to double back. So we might need 3 passes on this, looking at it. But it does fly along this. I mean, a 12-13 mile an hour working speed, and that working width is just fantastic. You cannot complain about that at all. I think we will probably not upgrade this particular spreader for a long time. I mean, it could be years, I would think, before we look at changing it. The capacity could be better. It does run out of pretty quickly with the lime. The fertilizer is okay. It doesn't use that much fertilizer, and yeah, it is taking 3 passes, but it doesn't use that much fertilizer at all. It's just the lime. It just rinses it. So yeah, okay, a bigger capacity would be nice, but if it was any bigger, this tractor wouldn't be pulling it anyway. So we'll probably have to wait until we are on a bigger tractor, which may take a couple of years as it is. I don't know when the next tractors are coming available to us. Like I think I said in the first episode, this mod is fantastic. It's a really interesting way to play the game, but one thing that it does lack is that it doesn't tell you what has come out. As the year ticks over, you kind of have to search through and see what's new. It'd be great if it just sort of highlighted them in some way, but I don't think the game would really support that. I suppose I could keep a record of the mods that I've added in and the years that they are available, but that sounds like a lot of effort and all not really that fun, to be honest. So we're just going to stick with it as it is. I don't know when the next tractors are coming out, and it'll be a little mystery for us all, a little surprise when we finally get one. For the time being, we'll have to make do with this little one, but it is managing, it does the job, and it works well with this spreader. It just means we can't upgrade the capacity, but that's not the end of the world. Apart from those 2 large fields that we've already done, the rest of them aren't that big. We can make a couple trips, it's not a big problem, and you can see just how quickly it has covered these 2 fields. Okay, we've still got to come back with the lime, but that is the fertilizer done as quick as that. Didn't even bother with the time lapse. So we just need to get the fertilizer swapped out for lime and then get back into them. So we are now filled up with lime. The fertilizer is safely stored back in the shed. Now, whilst I was doing that, I did think that I had a pallet fork for a 3-point attachment. As it turns out, it's not a pallet fork, it is a bale spike. I do not have any form of pallet fork, which means I couldn't lift the pallets that these tanks empty out into. They get them like bags between the 4 posts on a pallet. Couldn't move them properly, so I have just had to shove them in with the tractor, which isn't ideal. I accept that's not how you're going to move your pallets of fertilizer in real life, but we just don't have any other option at the minute. There is pallet forks in the shop that are technically available within the mod, but they are just far too modern. They're all hydraulic moving. They just don't fit the 1967 year that we're working on. They just as much as the mod is technically supported and it is within the year is suitable for where we are in the game, it just doesn't feel right. It's like saying the Eire Scout is technically there because it's base game, well, I know it's expansion, but it's still part of the game and it's there, but it just again doesn't feel right to use it. So I think we're going to hold off on that and wait till we have a legitimate pallet fork available to us. We have run out of lime, but that did, I think, that entire field, so that is not bad. I'm pretty sure this top field is smaller, so this means that if we refill it now, we should have enough to finish off that field. And indeed we will. 1 load of lime has been more than enough for this field. In fact, we should have a little bit left over. I'm not entirely sure how much. What are we going to be on about? 12%, 11, 10, 10%. Oh, was there a patch in here that I missed? There was a tiny little patch that we ran out of, and we've got enough left in our tank just to finish it off. So that is us done with fertilizer and lime, with 8%, I believe that says, left in the tank. So we will head on back, empty this out, get it all stored away, and we will swap over to our roller, which will finish these 2 fields off. So this is the last job that we have to do on these 2 fields. They are fully planted, fertilized, limed, and now we need to roll them. Again, this is not the biggest job in the world, but it is bigger than doing the fertilizer and the lime, that's for sure. It's not a terrible roller. It's an okay working speed, it's an okay working width. I think for the size of tractor that we've got, it's probably about right. It definitely works better if you don't drag it along the wall. But I think if we went to anything bigger, the tractor would struggle with it. It's not too bad down in these 2 fields, although there is a bit of a slope in this one in places. But them top fields we were in on the previous episodes, some of them bits are really steep, and it was just struggling with it. So we definitely can't go bigger until we get a new tractor. Tractor is definitely top of the list of priorities for upgrades. We are a little bit off it in terms of finances. We've only got £264 in the bank. That is definitely not going to buy us a new tractor. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of money we earn from the silage, if we have any hope of getting one in the new year, because the new equipment will become available in January. so we're not far off that, but I don't think there'll be a tractor available in it. I might be wrong, but I'd be surprised if we had another tractor available in our first year. So we'll have to make do for now, which also means making do with this sort of size of implement. But enough chatter. I will pop this on a time lapse because I think there is enough in this one to make it worth it, and I will see you at the end. So we just have one tiny little patch left to finish up in this field, and that is it, completely rolled, which also means that is both this field and that field up ahead of us, both planted, fertilized and rolled, ready to go. Crops are growing. Now it is 5 to 4 in the afternoon. We are going to start losing the light soon because it is October and the sun goes down early. As you can already tell, it is down behind the trees. The shadows are long. There is not a lot of time left in the day. But that said, I think we can definitely find the time for one field maybe with our new zero turn mower. I know this is the moment you have all been waiting for, this much hyped zero turn mower. You're about to see it in action. We are about to find out whether or not it was worth the £4,000 or so that it has cost us out of our farm budget in order to buy it. I think it will. I think it's worth it. I'm hoping so, because I'm going to look really daft if it isn't. But I think it will make a difference. I think it will just give us the option to get through these a little bit quicker. I think if we had the old mower and the windrower, we would not get one field both mowed and rowed by the time we lose the light. So if we can drop into this zero turn mower now, and we can get the first field we come to mowed and sort of rowed, as in, you know, the grass ejected into a row, then we have done 2 jobs in the time that we could not have done so with our old setup, if that made sense to absolutely anybody. So we will head down to this field on our right. I can't remember the field number, and because I am doing the voiceover for this whilst editing it, I'm only seeing like a little small window, so I can't read it off the map either. So no idea what field number it is, but it's this one on our right. It is about the same size as the top field of the ones we've just done. Seem to be having a little issue with the mower here. Don't remember what the issue was. I think it was to do with unfolding it and setting it up, but I think it's just me being a little daft, if I'm honest. There we go, that seems to have done something. I have put a chute out on the side. Well, I haven't, I've just sort of left it up. But we are definitely making progress. I am filling in this time as best I can. But there we go. He has worked out how to use the mower, ladies and gents. And we're off. To a stuttering start, but we're still off. Now, if you see what I mean, this has a similar working width. In fact, I think it might even be the exact same working width as our previous mower. But when we're not on a turn and struggling to steer, and we actually get going, it is so much faster to use. I mean, we are up to 13, 14. Can we get above 14? Oh, we seem to be peaking around about 14 mile an hour. I'm pretty sure with our tractor mower we were peaking at about 9, maybe 10 mile an hour. I'm not 100% on that. Someone may correct me in the comments, I'm sure, because, well, why wouldn't you? If I'm wrong, point it out. But this is definitely faster, even if it is only a couple mile an hour. It's definitely more agile. It doesn't take as long to turn, or shouldn't do, with it being a 0-turn mower, especially in reverse. Look at that thing, turns on a dime. But we can fly around, and you see what I mean. This grass is being ejected all out to the right hand side as it is. So if we do a lap this way, straight into the wall, it won't be a problem on the next run round because we will be a little bit away from it. Oh, look at that spin, straight around, and now we are going back the other way, cutting the grass into the same side, which is now making one big row. So this is exactly what I was talking about. This is creating a windrow as we cut, saving us an entire step, and it's doing so quickly. It is now 4:15, well, nearly 4:20, and we are flying along this field. Now it's an odd shaped field, it's got a little bit of a curve in it, so I think rather than doing rows, I think I actually do this just in circles. I just keep going backwards and forwards. Do I pop it on a time lapse? Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll pop it on. It'll only be a short one because this is pretty quick as it is, but we'll pop it on a time lapse and we'll get it done. And just like that, the field is nearly done. It has taken just under an hour, and that time lapse was so quick, particularly towards the end on these shorter strips, that I think it probably needed the Benny Hill theme tune to go along with it. But we are done. We are done in, like I say, just under an hour, which is far quicker than we possibly could have got that done with our old setup. Now, these rows, probably, if we're honest, aren't as thick as they would have been with the windrower. There will be more of them. I think if we had cut it or mowed it with our old mower and then windrowed it with our old rower, we would have ended up with less rows. So it's not entirely cut a step out, because I think it's going to take longer to pick up than it would have done, but it's still definitely quicker. There is no way we could have got both of those steps done in under an hour game time any other way, like without changing that setup. So I think it was money well spent. If you disagree, do let me know in the comments and I will promptly ignore you. I'm joking, I will acknowledge the comments. I just don't like to be told that I'm wrong. So to finish up with, I don't think we're going to get any more done today in the game, and to be honest, these episodes, the last two, have been a little underwhelming. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I have let you all down. I've let myself down. I've let my family down. No, I'm joking. They're just not as good as I'd hoped. I didn't obviously plan to have to do this voiceover after the fact. I actually thought I'd recorded two pretty decent episodes. I was starting to sort of get settled in the recording of it, which I don't think I was in the first couple episodes. It still feels a little, or it felt a little awkward, a little uncomfortable, and I wasn't really I don't know, I just wasn't really up to speed with it. Whereas I thought these last two, I was getting there, and it's really disappointing that the audio hasn't recorded, and it's my fault. It's entirely my fault. I should have checked it, and I will make sure I check it going forward. So this will be the last one where we have this problem. But I don't want to keep putting more into these episodes. I mean, we've already dragged this one out for half an hour. The last one went for nearly an hour, which was ridiculous. And I think we just need to accept that they've been a letdown, and we will draw a line past them now. We will move forward, and they will be better in the future. But before we finish up, we'll just have a little look. I'm just going through the map here and discussing what the plan is for the next couple episodes. So what we are going to look at doing is field 252 is the one that we've just mowed. I just did that one because it was convenient and I wanted to try the mower out. Realistically, 247 and 246 are the next ones to get planted. So I think coming back on the next episode, we will... Oh, what will we do? I think we will cultivate and plant 252. We have mowed it, so it would be daft not to. So we will get some barley in that as soon as we can, because we are going to be on the last day of the month. It is our last chance to get barley in it. So we will get 252 cut. Oh, sorry, not cut. We'll get it collected. We'll get it cultivated and planted with barley. We will then go on and put grass in 246 and 247. Not put grass in, cut the grass in 246 and 247. We will then get them cultivated and ready to plant. And I think by that point we'll probably be on to November. So we will put oats in those. And then if we still have time left in November by the time that's done, we will look at 243. I think we'll finish off that little section to the left of the farm, and we will try and get some oats in that as well if we can. I think 253, 254 and 255 will remain grass fields, so we will get them cut, get as much of this grass into the silage pits as we can. And then after that, it's really going to be feedback from you guys as to what you want me to do. We're going to have a little bit of grass left over because there is no way that I am getting those 4 fields, 43, 46, 47 and 52, all cut and into that silage pit and still having room for those 5 big fields up the top. So we do need to figure out what we're going to do with those fields. You see I'm saying now we need to figure out what to do with that meadow grass as well. We actually have 2 sections of that. We have the bit where my mouse is waving at the minute and that little bit over to the right hand side between 251 and 255. Am I going to point at it for you? Am I? No, probably not, because why would I help myself out? So I do need to know what you think I should do with those. But the push is on to get the barley in the ground and then the oats in the ground by the end of November so that we have crops in the ground over Christmas. So all that's left is for me to say thank you so much for being patient with me for these last 2 episodes. I really do appreciate it. I know they've not been great and I will try my hardest to make them better in the future. But thanks again for coming down and joining me in Ballyspring. If you have enjoyed the episodes for what they were, please do press that like button, and if you haven't already, please do click on subscribe. It really helps with the channel. It helps me get the videos seen, which helps me grow the channel and kind of tells me that this is worth doing. I'm not really bothered about making money from it. It's not like a big career thing for me. I want people to enjoy it, and if you click and subscribe, then I know that you are. So please do that. And thanks again, and I will see you next time.